Legislative Day on the 8th at the State House, and I'm super excited because for the first year ever, we actually have a bookmark contest winner from our school. So I'd like to recognize Leah Esplana, who's over there. Wave, Leah. Second honorable mention for the grades 7 to 12 division, and she is a 7th grader, and I believe the other 2 winners are high schoolers, so we're super proud of Leah, and I can't wait to go with her on Tuesday, March 8th. It'll be my first time at Library Legislative Day at the State House. So our next speaker is Commissioner George Comeau from the MBLC, and I'd like you to join me in welcoming him to the podium.
I just want to say, you guys are a hard act to follow.
Yeah.
I follow a lot of acts, but you guys are amazing. And I think that when you said that libraries are chaos and chaos is beautiful, I just think that's an amazing statement. And as I sit here as a commissioner, and there's a bunch of us commissioners, not just one, but we all get the great opportunity to come and speak at events like this. But I really wish that everybody across the state at all the other legislative breakfasts could really see what happened here today and what happened here today. Because sitting here, you know, and I've been on the commission for about 12 years, I come slowly to the realization that what's happened is libraries basically have a branding problem. They're called libraries. And I think that in a lot of people's minds, libraries are like, the library, it's books. But it's so much more, and you've demonstrated that today. And when I look at some of what I would consider some of the best and brightest students here today, they're here because of the library. You're going to move through life because of the library. And there'll be a point in your life where you're standing at a podium just like this, and you're going to make a speech, and you're going to say, yeah, it was because of that library at that school. And it's critical. There's no question in my mind. I get the opportunity to sit on the school library commission that you had referenced that was set up by the legislature to study just this issue. Because this is an amazing asset that this community has, that this school has. And you see it because the product is here. The product's not back here. The product is here. And what I take away from this is there's so much more work to be done, because this is just one library in one town, in one school. And the goal is that school libraries are pivotal. They're just as important as what happens in a science lab, in an English class, and all these students that were here today absolutely stand for the power of what happens in this space. So this is a legislative breakfast. I got an opportunity to speak with your legislator this morning. There's no question in my mind he's a great friend to public libraries and school libraries. He is just absolutely a wonderful individual and an advocate for libraries. But more importantly than the reps and the senators, it's you. You have to take the energy from today. You have to channel that energy, and you've got to make a phone call. That's all I'm asking, a phone call to your rep, to your legislator. And to help you, we've put together this wonderful little slick guide that will help you understand the issues that libraries face in terms of funding. And I'll just quickly, I'm not going to do the speech I was going to do. I'm just doing something really quickly because, again, I can't follow this kid. So I'm just not going to try. But I will just point out 3 things. State aid to public libraries is down 10% over 2009 numbers. State aid to regional libraries is down 44% over 2002 numbers. And most importantly, and this affects every one of us across the Commonwealth, network technology funding is down 52% over 2001 numbers. Okay? Let's put that into perspective here. We are in the age of the internet. We are in the age of information technology. Our students, our fellow community members, some of the people who need access to information the most critical access, they do not have access because we've had to cut thousands and thousands of hours. We've removed thousands and thousands of connections to the internet. And I'm talking about a state budget, my commission, a state budget where overall it's 0.07 of the entire state budget. And what that shows you is the power that libraries have to take small amounts of money and leverage them in big ways, in huge ways. Because it's not just the money that they get from the state, it's the money they get from the federal government, and it's also from grants. It's the technology grants, and all of that comes together because they are libraries. The other thing that I would just say, and it's evident here as well from the previous speaker who joined us via the video cast, and that is that libraries are the only governmental function that is supported by volunteers. That's absolutely true. The Army doesn't have bake sales, but the library has bake sales. And the library is a government organization. It's part and parcel of the freedoms associated with American values. And so all I'm asking today for the folks that are here, including you guys, is really just to make a phone call. Is to call your state rep, your state senator, and using a couple of the facts from this, not all of them, because they know, by the way, we talk to them all the time. The bottom line message is, would you please make libraries a priority? Not the priority, but at least a priority. Because in this state, there are a lot of priorities. We're not kidding ourselves. We understand this. Doing this a long time, coming to a lot of breakfast, and every time, librarians say, well, we're the library. That's not going to cut it anymore. It's not the library. It is a place where people come. These students are all going to go to college because of this. There's no question in my mind. I worked in a university for 26 years. Every one of these kids would go to a university, no question. That is an amazing thing, and it's because of the power and the intellect that's in this librarian and that's in this room that comes together to create a community. So stop calling them libraries. Call them something else. I don't know. We'll work on that. We'll work on the branding thing. But in the meantime, gather your thoughts after this morning, and after you go home and you think about the coffee and the muffins and these kids, make a phone call. That's all it is. And you make a phone call to that legislator and say, look, I was at a legislative breakfast this morning. It was amazing. Go through whatever you want to tell them, and then just finally wrap up by saying, please consider making it a priority. That's the bottom line. Thank you for your time. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those powerful words and for that powerful endorsement. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Sarah Sajigian from the MLS.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Sarah. Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Sarah Sajigian. I'm the Training and Advisory Services Director at the Massachusetts Library System, and I'd like to start by thanking Laura Gardner and her planning committee and the school and your students for hosting us this morning for this really important event. And thank you all for attending today. I know it was hard last week with the snow, but I'm so glad we got to reschedule and we were able to come down to visit. So I'm going to provide you, rather than, because Commissioner Camo, I'm going to take your lead and not read my speech. Is that cool? Thank you. But I am going to provide you with some quick bullet points and some basics about the Massachusetts Library System and what we do. One of the things we do is we break down the internet paywall by providing access to online databases and resources that are available to all of our member libraries, and that includes public, academic, school, and special libraries. And for a lot of kids, it's the only place that a student can go to complete her paper on the Battle of Cowpens. Shout out to Alexis, who's actually researching this topic now. We leverage state funds for this service. They're actually searched over 30 million times a year. And we work with our colleagues at the Board of Library Commissioners to invest about $2 million a year. If each library were to purchase these access to all these resources separately, it would be over 50 times higher every year. We work with our friends at the Board of Library Commissioners, the automated networks, and our school members to launch a statewide ebook platform, which a lot of our schools have called the only game in town, meaning it's really the only place that they can promote to their students to access these books. And it's been a really wonderful project, and we're really excited. We're working with the Boston Public Library and some other big libraries across the nation to provide more content and really simplify the ebook access and to control the costs of the content. The Massachusetts Library System, we partner with all of our libraries and networks to fulfill about 7 million interlibrary loan items each year. Our organization in particular provides the physical delivery, so the physical delivery that brings the items from one library to another across the state. And it turns out it's It's about 14 million items every year. And my boss, my director, Greg Pronovitz, who some of you may know, actually did sort of try to figure out, like, how tall would that be? If you stacked up all the items, how tall would it be? And I was like, taller than our office building, taller than the library. It turns out it's actually taller than the Bunker Hill Monument in Boston, if we stacked up all the items we ship over 1 year. So kind of to put it in perspective, again, if each library was to kind of do this on their own and maybe use UPS or FedEx to do this service, they would spend over $35 million to do that. And how many of you would think, well, that's great, but delivery service must be going down because of the access to ebooks now, right? I did. 2 years ago, I was like, oh yeah, it's going to go down. It doesn't. It's actually leveled out over the past 6 years. But of course, the success of this service has led to a serious budget dilemma that we're working on now due to the consequences of the state's 3-year program to raise the minimum wage in the Federal Affordable Care Act. These important legislative steps will result in a greater than 33% increase in labor costs that exceed inflation by a large margin, which will spread across our contractors' 60 employees. And something that Ms. Gardner mentioned earlier when she was welcoming us was that what we call the human resources, the support we give to our member librarians. We provide hundreds of training events. One of them, I think, we came and did New Teen Books here last year. That was so much fun. So my colleague April and I came down and we talked to librarians in the area about the new teen young adult books we've read recently. So that was always a fun class. And more than 4,000 library staff members attend these classes over the year. Most libraries have no budget for training, and MLS is the only free provider. We provide library planning and development with consulting and referral services on demand. So all they have to do, all the librarians have to do is give us a call, and we'll set up an appointment and come out and talk about almost any topic they can possibly imagine. So MLS, we support the sharing of physical, electronic, and human resources effectively. The total return on the state's $7.1 million investment is $147 million, or 20 to 1. So again, thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of our speakers, and now for some closing remarks, we have our principal, Darren Doan, who is a huge supporter of our library. Huge supporter of our library.
Oh, thank you. First of all, I must say this. When Ms. Gardner comes to me with an idea, I just say yes, and I get out of the way. And that is true. When we first hired her many, many years ago, she would come and she had this enthusiasm and passion, and I was a fairly new principal, as you know, Mr. New, so I was always taught that you need to process, you need to think about things, and so we would do that, and I said, I'll get back in touch with you. Now I just say yes and get out of the way.
Smart man.
Thank you. I don't do many smart things, but thank you. There we go. Again, on behalf of the Dartmouth Middle School, I just would like to thank all of you for attending this morning's event. It is a really wonderful representation of the middle school, not just the library, but the middle school. And for the students who have been actively involved in supporting the library, and whether you spoke today or whether you've taken pictures and helped facilitate this, again, you're a wonderful representation of the school. We have a lot of wonderful things that are taking place here. Again, those guests, those of you who have came out this morning, I know it's very cold, but we want to thank you as well, because again, it's just a great opportunity to listen to you, to advocate for, and I know we'll come up with a different term, the library, let me know, but again, a lot of wonderful things. I also want to thank our staff, because as a building principal, there's a lot of collaboration that takes place, and they're very, very open to Ms. Gardner and a lot of her innovative ideas, and they've really taken advantage of that. So this place is really a hopping place, and that's the reflection of really not only Ms. Gardner, but also our staff, who understand the importance of the library and what takes place. So again, on behalf of the school, we just want to thank all of you for attending, and again, thank Ms. Gardner as well as the students for a lot of the wonderful things they do here, not only within the library, but at the school itself. Tony Wagner, who just, if I could diverge for a moment, who works for the Harvard Educational Department, he's in charge of innovation, and it's very interesting because I've been reading book, play, passion, purpose is equivalent to education. And unfortunately today, in this age of testing, sometimes the play and the passion and the purpose and the innovation can kind of be lost. And so I just really want to compliment our staff here at this garden for balancing those two things, because that can be a challenge in itself. So hopefully I've addressed everything I was asked to address, needed to address. Something with the pin, correct?
Correct.
All right. So everybody was given, some members were given a pin. Maybe everybody was given a pin, although I don't have a pin.
While
But that's
supplies
okay.
last.
But there's something on the back of the pin. Is that correct?
3 of you have stars on the backs of your pins, and you get a plant on your way out. So see me. Yay.
Mr. News, no star on the back of your pin? All right, well, we'll work on that. We'll take care of that. But again, just thank you for coming out this morning. Thank the students. Again, thank you for Weekly and Ms. Garner as well. Thank you for just organizing everything. It's just a wonderful representation